So we're going back to London in the next few days and going to really start to implement Scrum in our kitchen at the restaurant. I was talking to Joe, and he's got a pretty much a sort of 4 or 5 step process. So step 1 was run a
4 values retrospective, the Agile 4 values with the staff, with the team, saying what's our gap and what are we doing well already. So the context is typically our last week of work together, and then specific to the place we're scrumming. So in this case, it's Riccardo's restaurant in London. Step 1, get 1 restaurant to awesome. How are we doing on the 4 values retrospective? Then how we would make those positives happen more and the gaps get closed becomes the backlog for the work. So that becomes the backlog for the team and the executive action team, which in this case is the same group, which is perfect.
Yeah.
After those are exhausted, which is typically already a big deal, then we have the more detailed approach, the Agile 12 principles retrospective.
Yeah.
Run the same way, and that generates the next step.
So when you say run the same way, you're saying go through each one with the team and say how are we doing in relation to this particular principle,
and attempt to find positives and deltas for each one.
So stuff we're already doing that is agile, and then keep doing it and document it.
Retrospective etiquette, a good practice, I believe, from my work, is starting with the positives first for each of the principles, each of the values.
Okay.
Keeps morale up, and then when we attack the deltas, we have a little bit more emotional energy to write them down.
Okay, and then I think that the third step was get the 353 and put those down as the product backlog.
The Scrum guide, so just, 3 roles, 5 events, 3 outputs, and say how are we on each of these? Are we missing any, or are some not as good? Which are we doing well, and how are we doing them well? Then it makes a backlog of how we'll do that well. At the end of that, we have an Agile Scrum group. That's exactly what it is.
And then what about the 11 major Scrum patterns?
The doublers of velocity from scrumplop.org.
So would you do the same thing again and just run it through as a retrospective?
Then you have a hyper-productive Agile company with a Scrum team.
And would you do that sort of like taking it in chunks of one section each day, or would you try and do the whole thing over a weekend, or what would be the best way of doing that?
Here's what I think I know, is that a team can consume as many impediments as their energy allows, as their motivation allows, if it's not an experiment. So Agile values are no longer an experiment. They've been around since 2001. We know they're going to help. Same with the principles, same with the Scrum 353, same with the patterns. They've been workshopped by experts. Other impediments that may be truly experimental, like let's add a coffee bar in front of the restaurant, that type of thing. We don't know the outcome.
Yeah.
What I believe I know is only run one of those a sprint. So we see did that increase or decrease. Scientific method. We know if it helped or hurt.
But the proven things, in theory, we could run them all at the same from day one if we had somebody coaching people and telling them, giving them feedback on how they were doing in real time.
It's only bottlenecked, as far as I can tell, by enthusiasm. And if people are really pumped up, you can do all of them in an hour. You've seen it. So a build party, that's the concept. People come in and they, with a skilled coach or someone who knows how to do it well and pull good behaviors, if they're excited, they can do all of it. And then it's a question of how do we sustain. That's another separate question. But yet tackling one a day, maybe all people have mental space for. And if we don't respect people's current energy level, well, they leave us, right?
That makes a lot of sense. Good, well, I think that's it. We've got a program. It's under 4 minutes, and that's probably the whole of Scrum in a nutshell, isn't it?
I think that was just nailed.
With Joe Justice and Riccardo Mariti at Bosch.